it's Joe Gore for PremierGuitar.com from Musikmesse 2014 in Frankfurt, and I'm here with Tom Fowle of the Gibson Custom Shop, and he's going to show us two very special guitars today. What is this pinstriped beauty that we're looking at?
This was just recently released. It's a Billy Gibbons Goldtop, pinstriped Goldtop. It's based on a '57 reissue. A little bit of the background is Billy wanted us to make a Goldtop for him, a couple guitars, and when he received the guitars, he personally pinstriped his own guitars. You know, we know he's into old cars and, you know, car pinstriping things. So he did pinstriping, a slightly different pattern on two different pinstripes, and this has been a couple years ago. And then we worked out a conversation and agreement. We started to work on doing a limited run, and we decided, you know, he decided which pinstripe pattern he liked. So I'll start with the basic details of the guitar. Okay, it's a '57 Goldtop. Billy wanted his guitar, and these reissues it's a completely chambered guitar, so it's extremely lightweight. Billy, you notice there's no toggle switch. Something's missing. So we have bridge volume, neck volume, master tone. Okay, so basically it's like when he wants to get a little bit of neck, he just rolls it in, or he takes some of the bridge out. So the guitar's loaded with Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates. Okay, one of Billy's requests. In our factory, we do this pinstriping manually. It's actually all painted on with special pinstriping brushes. It's something we've never done before at the shop. It's not a decal overlay. So each one of them is hand pinstriped. Did you have to, I mean, pinstriping is such a specialized craft. Did you have to bring in somebody who was like a custom car guy, or? Well, we have one guy in the shop that does it, and we have one specialist that works at the shop and does it also. So yeah, but I mean, we have a guy that does pinstriping. But, you know, this is a limited run of, well, there's a VOS version, a vintage original spec, you know, with sort of the dull patina finish. There's also a quantity of aged. They're all going to be lacquer checked, and then a small percentage of the aged ones that'll be hand signed by Billy. And so the total number is up to of the three versions is 300 guitars. And if you want to build guitars and deliver them to the customers that want them, you have to. We need two guys to pinstripe, and it's still a slow process. So, the guitar comes delivered. We use Billy Gibbons, you know, Reverend Gibbons strings on there, okay? And they're 8s, which is not typical for Gibson. We usually put 10s on, but that's what he uses. So he's got a super lightweight guitar with 8s on it, no problem with vibrato. A lot of people don't realize how delicate his touch is. It's such a big sound, but he plays light. He does, and you know, it sort of dispels the myth of, you know how his tone is. You know, it's just major overdrive. And how does that happen when you're using 8s on a chambered guitar? You know, it has to do with his gear setup. It has to do with his hands. You know, a lot of the pros know this. You know, your tone starts with the hands. So it's a beautiful piece. It has all the 2014 specs that we use on a Gibson this year on Custom Shop. This is the 20th anniversary of Custom Shop. It's the 120th anniversary of Gibson. So we have this machine emblem, you know, installed. Can we hear a little more? Like maybe mix up the pickup combinations and see some of the range of tones we can get out of it. You're going to have the tone of a neck pickup when it's full on. You're going to have the tone of a bridge pickup. The beauty of it is that you can blend in. You know, same as like in the middle position, but his preference, and we we replicated that because that's his guitar. His preference is to not have the toggle. He works it with the knobs. So so that's both. That's in middle position. Sweet, sweet. So there you have it.
You quite certain this is a new guitar?
Absolutely. It's brand new. Matter of fact, it's a prototype. As it says on the headstock, it's got the owner of the original 60s name on there. So this is for show. This is part of a program. This is called a Collector's Choice 60 Les Paul reissue. It's Collector's Choice number 18. The Collector's Choice program started a couple years ago, where we had realized that there are iconic original bursts owned in private collections around the world. The guitars themselves are famous, not necessarily associated with a well-known name, okay? And we realized that, you know, the average person may never see the guitar. Obviously, the pricing is high collector pricing. So we approached a couple of these guys and said, what do you think if we started to pay honor to the instrument? Because that's really what it's about. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter which famous artist guitar we're doing, people want the guitar because of the tone, you know. So we started with, you know, Collector's Choice 1 a couple years ago, and it was an original 59 owned by a private collector, used to be owned by a famous artist many years ago. When we released that model, some of these collectors of other original bursts started to contact us and said, hey, you know, I've got this really cool guitar, and all of a sudden there's this interest about, I would love for people to know about this guitar. Some of the owners want to remain anonymous. It's not about the person, you know. So we've gone through this. It's been an extremely successful program. Each one that we do will be a limited run of up to 300 guitars. And it's not going to be VOS aged or whatever. We're just doing one version of the guitar in whatever condition it's in. And for the most part, we've done 59s, 58 reissues. This is now a 60. Probably do some other models. The potential is there, but it's for guys like us who, boy, I would love to own an original burst, but you know what? I can own the same thing. It's just 55 years newer, okay?
I assume that you're replicating the exact burst in excruciating detail, but is the you know, distressing and wear and tear copied from the collector's model as well, or are you just going for an approximate amount of well-lovedness?
I'm glad you asked that question. Before I answer that, let me explain that this is now Collector's Choice 18, okay? And, you know, we don't just throw them out there. If the demand is there, we find a new one. Okay, Collector's Choice 18 is the first guitar that we are doing a limited run of, that the original guitar is based in Europe. Okay, most of the others have been U.S.-owned collector's guitars. So this is a special situation. Yesterday at the show, we had the owner here with his original 60, and he talked all about the story behind getting that guitar. You know, they're wonderful stories. You know, how did this guy, here we are all these decades later, and how he acquired it. And he was here with the guitar. One of our people had the reissue. They did a shootout, and they played to a track or two, and each guy played kind of the same thing so the audience and the press could hear it. So to get to your question, when we do any project like this, and including even the artist models that we do, we have a guy at our shop who will go to the instrument with a digital scanner and spend a number of hours scanning every measurement of the instrument, the body perimeter, the dish carve, the shape of the neck, all the way up and around to the top of the headstock. If you think about this, you know, we pretty much know what a Les Paul shape is supposed to be like. So it would be okay if we said, you know, we're going to take our 60 and now we're going to make it look like the original guitar. But we actually start with zero, you know, we start at a 0 point and develop the specs and recreate this guitar based on the specs of the original guitar. So there's a lot of science behind it. That includes measuring pickup cavities, back cavities, all of that. Okay.
Well, I don't know how much it'll translate on the video, but sitting here in person, you know, looking at this instrument, it feels like we're looking at a museum piece. It's astonishing.
Well, and you know, the question you asked was about just, you know, the look, the aging, and all of that. There's 300, 400 photographs taken of the original instrument also, and it's a labor of love. We actually did this digital scan and all the research of this guitar right after the Messe a year ago, and we've unveiled it at this Messe. So that tells you it sometimes takes about a year. But from that information, we built a prototype, and we give it to the artist, the owner, and he actually can tell us this is it. You know, it's really his decision. Of course, we match the color. The guys in our division are masterful at duplicating exact aging, from every ding to every lacquer check to every. Yeah, it's all done by hand. You know, it's not cryogenics or anything like that. So, of course, part of it is we have to match as close as possible the flame of the top. Now, if you think about this, you know, we buy maple to make Les Pauls, and you just don't go to the stack of maple at the lumber yard and pick out all the tops with this grain pattern. It takes a long time. You know, we could buy 1,000 maple tops for guitars, we might find 20 in there. So as we continue to buy wood, so it takes a long time to do this. So the reason that this is important to us is because the end owner, the consumer, the collector that's buying these guitars, they want to buy the guitar that's genuine to the original. So we have to do everything we can to make it as close as possible. You know, like I said, from the aging to the color to the grain pattern. So when the prototype's approved, and the prototype was approved this week, so now we'll start to go into production. We've made an official announcement, you know, around the world that the new Collector's Choice is coming out.
And obviously, this is going to be a great deal less expensive than a beautiful 53-year-old guitar. But can you give us some idea of the price range of the Collector's Choice series?
Well, it's based on the model. You know, we've done one 58 reissue. The U.S. manufacturer suggested retail is around 11,200, I believe, something like that. Okay.
And just for comparison, what would an instrument like this go for on auction these days?
I have no idea. I wanted to ask the owner what he paid for his guitar, and then I could tell you. But you know, everybody says original bursts, 59, 60s, or six figures. So I don't know really, and it's a little probably not proper that we give any kind of value on originals, because we'd have to ask the owners of that. But multiple times more than an original, than this reissue.
So are there any instruments in the Collector's Choice series other than historic Les Paul replicas?
Not yet. You know, there's a lot of ways we can go on this. You know, what the most iconic and the most valuable originals, as we know, are the 59 and the 60 and the 50s models. But the opportunity is almost endless. You know, but we don't want to abuse it either. You know, it's if there's interest in these guitars, we'll keep moving with the project. One thing I wanted to say about the spec on this, because I'm holding the neck, and guitar players know the first thing you feel when you pick up a guitar is not how the top looks, you feel the neck. This is a late 60s, based on a late 60s model. And for those of you that know about you know, the year 1960. In the early part of 1960, the necks were really fat. It was basically just a click over from 59. And as the year went through, the necks got thinner and thinner, and in the late 60s, they became very thin. And this is a really nice, if you like a small 60s neck, this is the one. This is one of the thinnest necks I felt.
Killer. I assume players can find info about the series on the Gibson.com site?
Yes. I know we have sort of a press release that we'll do. I mean, we just made official announcement within our company network, so the word is just going out to our dealers. But yeah, Gibson.com, and go to your favorite dealer, and they'll have some information on it. So yes, this is a beauty. I love this one.
Killer. Well, thank you so much for your time, and nice playing, man.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching PremierGuitar.com.